Grant took some time out of his day to absolutely blow my mind. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and take the leaks he has given the Illuvium community, and I'm going to use them to compare them to Pokemon, World of Warcraft, and Monster Hunter, and I'm going to see what you think of these comparisons I'm about to draw. Now, you might not agree with me, and leave your comments down below if you don't, but these are some really interesting things and some stuff you just can't deny. The first one I want to talk about is Detective Pikachu. Now, say what you want about the film. Personally, I actually really enjoyed it. As kind of boring as the plot was, I actually really liked it. They did something that no one has done really before, especially not to Pokemon, and they put them in the real world. Now, the hard thing about this is the colors of Pikachu here in this image, they match them to the environment. They had to do some serious CG and movie film editing to get it to look this good so that it fit into a real world situation. That is no easy feat, and they managed to pull it off. No one else has really done that before. I think Star Wars, I've heard have used some game assets before, but they've got to upgrade them a lot to do so. And what I'm going to compare it to is this. This is one of the many leaks that Grant gave us, and you can see the colors based on this backplate image, that they're getting the colors to be much more real to real world values. They use this using a wider gamma spectrum of different color assets, and there's lots of different color settings, and your display is one that's one of the better ones. Print is awful. Don't even bother with print for color. But there's one for cinema and film that has even more colors in it than your standard web and your standard displays. And they're going above and beyond to make sure that everything is perfect so that when they eventually go to make a cinematic or a movie or something like Detective Pikachu, they will have the capacity to do so. So this forward thinking is going to bring Illuvium really far into the future. And it's going to just open up the possibilities. And I absolutely can't wait to see that happen. The other one that I really want to talk about here is I want to compare the three games to this latest Illuvium leak, and then I want to talk about it a bit. So firstly, we have Monster Hunter. Monsters in the world, you go around chasing them and things like that. I don't know if any of you have played Monster Hunter before. I actually loved the franchise when I was younger. I used to play with one of my best mates all the time. And this thing is just awesome, especially with Monster Hunter World and some of the newer versions. They did really great with some of the environments and things like that. But the monsters all felt to that quality of Illuvium. They're not quite as good. I mean, the fur was all really good, and that's why I'm saying that they were close. But they all had so much character. I think that was the really big thing. Now, they all felt like dinosaurs to a certain extent, but they all felt really individual. I think Illuvium's doing that really, really great. The next one I'm talking about is World of Warcraft and just being able to roam this large open world. Illuvium isn't quite there yet, but this league that Grant showed us is going to prove to you that we're a lot closer than you might think. Now, it might not be next year or the year after, but we have all the assets and all the capabilities to do this when we're ready. And I just can't wait to be running around with a team of Illuvials like this hunter is doing right here and going and capturing more and adding them to my squad. They've even done some of the earlier Pokemon games, but the last one I want to talk about is Pokken. Now, Pokken is basically Tekken, but for Pokemon. I swear to God, that's how they did the name. But anyways, you've got the Pokemon battling each other, and they turn them into proper 3D assets. They're mostly 2D in some of the earlier Pokemon games that are some of my favorites. They turn into really great 3D assets, and they had to add all the animations for all the different combat and everything like that. They don't have that in your standard video game, but I love the idea that Illuvium already has a lot of these attack and defense and fainting and all these different animations for the Illuvials and their interactions with each other, that our battles are just so cinematic that they're even better than something like this. And they can go further if we wanted to bring them into a 1v1 battle sim or fighter game like this one. And here's where we come to the leak. Look at this thing. Okay, this is one of the greatest leaks that Illuvium has ever put out, if not the greatest leak. Now, this is not fully rendered out. This isn't perfect. This is quite rough. But you can see they chucked all the Illuvials into the overworld. They're all interacting with the grass properly. You can see there's not really much clipping. And the clipping that there is the grass is mostly interacting with them quite nice, which not many modern games do nowadays. And you can see all the Illuvials combating in this zone. Imagine running around the Illuvium overworld. And all of a sudden you see an Axodon walking in front of you, think Monster Hunter or think World of Warcraft. And then you send out, you tell Mozart to go send out your Riplance. Then it jumps into the fight and it starts attacking Axodon right there in the overworld directly in front of you. The wind is blowing and maybe it's moving your riplants around. Maybe it's raining or something, and rain is bouncing off all the alluvials. They've gone through the work to get all of these things up to that standard so that when they need to take it to the next level, they can. And that will make this IP like nothing else the world has ever seen. And I just can't wait until we're there. I know I'm getting really hopeful for the future of Illuvium, but all the pieces are there, and with this leak and all these other things that we're seeing, we can see it all start to come together for maybe really the first time. And I've never been happier to be involved with the Illuvium project, because I do think it's going to change everything.